Closer to him. Very good. This is very good. Excellent.
Hello, that was Roman Polanski on location in Brittany, directing a scene from his latest film, Tess, which is from Thomas Hardy's novel, Tess of the d'Urbervilles. And tonight's South Bank show is devoted to an exclusive interview with him. Polanski is Polish. He's made films in Poland, of course, but also in London, Hollywood, and Paris, where he now lives. In his own words, he's a fugitive from the Californian law courts. This latest incident, his alleged involvement with an underage girl, seems just another chapter in the remarkable and sometimes tragic story of his life, often acted out in the full glare of world publicity, as when his wife Sharon Tate was murdered. We wanted to talk to him about his working life, about his films. His private life has been sensationalized in almost every popular newspaper throughout the world. Since he left Poland in the early 60s, he's made 9 films. He speaks 5 languages. However, English isn't his first language, and he apologizes for being a little out of practice. His addiction to films and film making has never wavered, but the films he's made on his travels, perhaps inevitably, seem to be determinedly different from each other, from the absurdist comedy of Cul-de-sac to the detective drama of Chinatown, and now Tess, an attempt at a romantic epic. He shot it in Brittany, which will outrage many Hardy devotees. He cast a German girl, Natasha Kinski, as Tess. He left out 1 or 2 sequences many would consider of great importance. But Polanski, on the whole, it seems to me, has genuinely tried to stick close to the essential story of Tess, a country girl from a poor family, whose father discovers they're descended from the knightly d'Urbervilles, which sets her on a course leading to 2 men, the sensual Alec d'Urberville and the idealistic Angel Clare. We talked to Polanski in Paris in the dubbing theatre where he edited Tess, and we began with the start of that film where Tess's father first learns that he is a d'Urberville.
Sir John d'Urberville. That's who I
That's the start of your film, Tess. What attracted you to Tess of the d'Urberville?
It's a long story. I got acquainted with the book around 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I would say. And I was thinking of it quite often. It was one of the genres of cinema that I really wanted to try. It's a romantic love story, because that's how I see this book, even if it's about lack of love. However, I think that all love stories are really stories about unhappy love or lack of love.
What drove you to choose a young German actress to play this English part?
I felt it coming. Now, because I knew Nastasia Kinski. I knew that at least physically, she was exactly the description of Hardy's. I mean, he goes on and on about her lips, her mouth, and that's exactly it. I knew that she had an acting talent because I saw certain things she did in Germany, and I realized that she had the potential. I thought one day I may use her. I thought it was one of those faces that you can film from any profile without thinking which one is the best, that you can put any light on her, you can put her in any position, use any lens on the camera. It's a piece of cake, you know. It's really face for the movies, but there's something more about her. She's got this vulnerability that certain women on the screen had for me. I'm thinking of Vivian Leigh, for example, of Gin Simmons, of Rita Hayworth. You see, certain mystery and vulnerability. You want to protect her. You want to help her. However, I was afraid she got too much of it, and I was trying to tone it down and to make her to expose the proud side of her.
And that's what we see now.
And that's what we may see now.
Don't hold my arm! Grab me round the waist! Ungrateful little minx. Why abandon me as soon as you feel safe?
The danger came of your foolishness.
I say, what a temper. When people are on top of the hill, they have to get down somehow.
But not at a gallop, surely.
Fancy being asked that by a brave little beauty like you. I always go downhill at a gallop. You can't beat it for stirring the blood.
But perhaps you needn't do so again.
Perhaps not. All depends. One little kiss on those ruby lips, or even on that satin cheek, and I drive at a snail's pace. Word of honor.
But I don't want to be kissed, sir. Stop, I beg you. Very well. Do as you wish, I don't mind.
Oh, boy.
But I thought you'd protect me, being a kinsman.
Kinsman be hanged. You're mighty sensitive for a village lass.
Like most of Hardy's books, Tess is set in a place and at a time. Oddly enough, the place isn't specific. He invented the place to a certain extent. He based it on, he called it Wessex. He based it around Dorset and that, but it isn't exactly specific. And the time with Hardy is always a bit vague as well. But it feels like a real place and a real time in England in last third of the 19th century. You recreated that in Brittany, and I think you did it very successfully. Why did you choose Brittany, and how did you go about creating this particular period and this landscape and these villages?
Well, first of all, at the beginning, when I started thinking of the place to shoot the film, I didn't want to go to Great Britain for my personal reasons. I just didn't want to travel too much. I didn't want to irritate any further the authorities in California and starting maybe extradition procedures against me. As you know, I'm a fugitive from the United States. The fugitive director, as the most of English newspapers call me. And so I started thinking of looking around Brittany, which I knew looked very much like Dorset. I know Dorset very well. I know all England pretty well because I have did a lot of scouting for my films that I shot in Great Britain. And I went to look for some places, and I found that it's better than Dorset today, in the sense that they didn't cut the hedges, that those small fields, they didn't put up so many electrical pylons, that they did not asphalt all the roads. You still have those little whiny, choky roads. That you can still find people milking cows in the middle of the field, hand milking. The whole place
You
looks...
have the villages there too.
And the architecture
Yeah.
is exactly the same, you see. Those small villages, the stone, the cottages, certain churches, etc. And I thought it's fantastic. Let's not even think of going to England. Let's do everything here. Voilà. Okay. Pas mal du tout, ça. Maybe then you can look at the mother for the moment and do this.
Yes, maybe. Oh, yes, with the crop,
You
maybe.
know?
No. Yeah.
We'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try to shoot. Bon. Regardez-moi ici, les enfants, regardez. Regardez-moi. Regardez. Là. Regardez le cheval. Pourquoi tu te marres, Géraldine? Arrête de te marrer une fois pour toutes. There's one more thing in Tess that I haven't mentioned to you. There's the nature and the country. I have tremendous nostalgia for it, and particularly for this type of country, for this 19th century country, because I know it, you see. Not that I lived in the 19th century, but I lived in a country which was 19th century. During the war, when my parents were taken to the concentration camp, I was a little child, and I escaped from the ghetto, and I went to live in a country, and I lived with very primitive peasants in a very primitive village where there was no electricity. They've never seen a car. There was no train. The closest station was about 8 kilometers. And, but they were very kind people, and I loved them, and I loved the discovery of the nature, which was for a little brat from a bourgeois Krakow family, something absolutely incredible, you see. But the sunsets and the sunrises and the frost on the field and all agricultural tasks had a great impact on me, and I was often thinking, will I ever have an opportunity to show it? And suddenly I thought, that's what it is, you see. And I maybe dwelled on it even a little bit too much, but this is for my own pleasure and own satisfaction.
Yeah, it comes over very powerfully. I'd like to talk about Tess later in the interview, but can we go back to the films that, as it were, took you up to Tess, to some of them? Beginning with the early films, you started... When did your interest in the cinema very first begin? It's an obvious question, but I'd be interested.
It began as a child. It began as a child. It was somehow always in me, not in making films. I didn't think of it right away, but in going to the movies, you see. My sister, or half-sister, used to take me to the movies a lot, you see. She loved movies. It was just before the war. I was, tiny
What
little...
sort of movies did you see? American movies?
Oh, she would see American movies. I remember Janet MacDonald running down the stairs. I remember some big animation Spider and those things. I only remember bits and pieces. But I do remember that she was such movie fan that she would not even let me go to the bathroom to have a pee. She would let me pee on the floor in between the rows of the seats. The cinemas were half empty, but I remember very well this episode. She didn't want to miss a scene, and maybe thanks to her I have that love for cinema, not necessarily for movie making, but for cinema, to such an extent that when I told you when I ran from the ghetto.
Can you just say a little bit more about that? I know it's painful to you, and I don't want to probe, but it is such a remarkable fact for most people. Your father was taken away to a concentration camp. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, so was my mother.
So was your mother. And you were about 8 or 9?
No, I was 6 and a half.
6 and a half, 6 and a half, 7. And you escaped from the ghetto?
Yes, just before, you see, my mother was taken first. She was taken, as later I learned, to Auschwitz, where she died.
Yeah.
My father wasn't. The main idea was to separate the families, you know, and break it down as much as possible. So then later, when they were liquidated together, we knew that they were going to liquidate it next day. My father cut the wire very early in the morning, and just I ran.
He let you out?
He let me out, yes. It was very easy. It was very easy to get out. It was difficult to survive outside. But I had this fortunate, I had the fortune of having looks of my mother, you know, was blonde, and there was never any suspicion of me being a Jew. So I ran to friends of my father, who quickly put me with some friends of their friends, and I lived for a short period in their house. And that's what I wanted to tell you about. The first thing, cinema. When I got out of the ghetto, I wanted to go to the movies. And I had this little money, yes, so I went to the movie. Movies were very cheap, and it was very unpatriotic to go to the movies. As a matter of fact, the walls were full of slogans, or rather, walls of these movie houses. Only pigs go to cinema. Because these were German films, not necessarily propaganda films, but German movies. But I didn't care. I would go anyway. And I started selling newspapers and make some money. So I would go every day to see a movie. It was just it was an obsession, you see. And then I always saw directed by, which is in Polish is the same similar word than in German, regie. And I thought, who is this? I wanted to be, I didn't know exactly what was the function, but I wanted to do the same.
After the war, Polanski met up with his father again, but chose to continue fending largely for himself. Through his local Boy Scout troop and their amateur dramatics, he found a talent as a child actor. He was taken on by radio, then by the professional theatre. He progressed to leading roles, and finally to acting in films, notably in Wajda's films of the Canal trilogy and that invigorating new dawn for Polish cinema. At the same time, he was attending art school, and then spent 5 years at the Polish Film School at Lodz, which culminated in his diploma film, Two Men and a Wardrobe. The success of this short led to his first feature film as a director, Knife in the Water. The film is shot almost entirely on a small sailing boat and explores what happens when a middle-aged, middle-brow couple invite a young hitchhiker they've picked up to share their weekend afloat.
That film was done in a period that I had in my life where I was in love with sailing, you see, and where I discovered those lakes in the northeast of Poland. I was really in love with this atmosphere. At the same time, all my experience on those lakes had connection with an old sailor who treated me with a certain paternal attitude. You know, it wasn't like in the Knife in the Water, but it gave me the original idea about this competition of two generations.
Co pan gotuje?
Co? Usola.
Duża.
Na autostop się nie nadaje. Nie gwiżdżę się na pokładzie.
Bo co?
Taka jest etyka jachtowa. Marynarz wchodziłby za to na maszt. Trump oczywiście nie.
Pukać?
Powinienem pana kopnąć w tyłek.
Andrzej, płyńmy do brzegu.
Na niego mam
Ale-
kurs zmieniać?
Ale tu pan nie dostanie.
Może mu jeszcze dać złoty zegarek?
Andrzej, błagam cię.
Dobrze? Daj mi ster. Do zwrotu przez rufę.
Jest, do zwrotu przez rupę.
Lewy pokaż od luz,
Jest, lewy pokaż od luz.
prawy pokaż od wybierz.
Jest, prawy pokaż od wybierz.
Amen.
Actually, a lot of those moments are the moments I've observed when I've been sailing with Adam. And a lot of lines, either his lines or lines of his friends, you see, when he says, even some of the anecdotes, you see, quite stupid sometimes, came from people that I knew. As far as the visual of it is concerned, more than ever in that period, I was interested in graphic sort of type of cinema, and it went particularly well with this subject, the landscape, and with the atmosphere of the film. I think that each subject requires a different treatment, and
But you've very often been interested in the place, the landscape, whether it's by the sea or land itself or lakes. That's often attracted you powerfully in your movies.
that's the part of the movie making. That's the only type of cinema I'm interested in, you see. I'm not interested in listening to a dialogue illustrated by the slides, you see, and I'm afraid that a lot of films are like that nowadays. I'm interested in atmosphere that I can create through the film. I, as a moviegoer, like to forget that I'm in a cinema. I like to feel that it's all around me.
Anybody home?
Cul-de-sac, which seemed when it first came out to have been made for that particular castle up in Holy Island, was in fact written long before you'd found that castle. What
Yes,
attracted you to that
it
subject?
It was written in France, you see. It was written right after I have finished shooting The Knife in the Water, and I came here. It was before the film was released. It was released only in Poland. And with Gerard Brache, we sat down and wrote a script as we wanted. I mean, we had no restrictions, no directions. We were just movie lovers. We would go still to the cinema every day, and we put on paper something we would like to do. The characters, the situations, the plot. You know, it just they all happened.
One of the interesting things is the relationship between Donald Pleasance and Françoise d'Orléac, the older man who's retired from the world, and the young woman who's come with him thinking she's going to get some sort of security, I presume, but finding that she's bored in every way and fed up with him, and they don't get on at all. Did you enjoy writing about that relationship? What were you after? What did you want that relationship
Well, you
to
see,
say?
I think that we both at that period were quite a couple of misogyns or misogynists, you see. We both had very tough experiences.
We both
with
is who? You and...
Gerard Brache.
Yes, yes.
Gerard Brache and myself, you see. He broke up with his wife after a very unhappy marriage some year before that, and my first marriage crumbled in a similar way just as we sat down to write the script. And
So
in
that's
that
why
girl,
that's why she gets a pretty poor deal in the script.
she does, yeah. We saw in this woman everything which can be attractive to a man and at the same objectionable, you see. And I think that I can talk about it now from this perspective. I think at that time we would not never admit it, you see.
But the odd thing is, having said that, that what you represent, she is easily the most powerful person in the film.
Well,
She makes him jump. I mean, she makes him put the makeup on. She makes him do strange things. She totally controls. She has all the power.
You see,
so how does
there
that
was
come?
we were very much involved with the producer with whom we were hoping to do this film, and he's the prototype of that Donald Pleasance character. You see,
Yeah.
and there was one thing which struck me 2 years back, 2 years before we sat down to write the script. It was a scene with my ex-wife. Her name was Barbara Lass. She was an actress and was making film for that producer, Rustam. And I could feel this incredible admiration for her that he had. And she could do anything with him that she wanted. Not that she tried. But I remember once an episode in a restaurant where the crew was camping and the makeup was laid out on one of the tables. She jokingly put the lipstick on his mouth, on the producer's mouth, and the whole crew laughed. And then she continued and made him up completely, you see. And that's how that scene gave the origin to the whole relationship, you know, between those two people.
Baby, have you seen my pajama top?
Look under the bed.
And now, for you lucky night people, here in different rooms is a swinging disc by one of our newest groups.
Who's that on?
Oh, baby, you're sitting. Look.
Give me that.
No, no.
Come here.
No, no, not,
Oh,
no, not the
let
eyes.
me,
No,
let me
no,
just a little
no,
bit
but-
like that. Oh, oh, what a beauty. Oh. Give me the other now.
no,
Please,
no, that's
give me the other. Give me. Please, come here, come here.
Come here.
What are you doing tonight, baby?
I'm going home to Mommy and Daddy.
You carriage away. Do you hear something? No, I can't hear a thing. Somebody was walking on the terrace.
Another thing about that is that it's very amusing. Lionel Stander, the criminal, I suppose, the big one. He's very amusing in the film. He's rather tenderly portrayed. He's the most likable. He's a...
Well, we always had this liking for that jovial, fat, cruel, but heartly person, you see.
Yeah.
I think, as a matter of fact, here again, life comes into play. I knew a fellow like that, you know, and he's a man who plays in that French film I did here called Fat and Lean.
Yes.
And his real name was Cattleback, the name that we used in
We used
cul-de-sac.
on the outro,
That's
yeah.
right, for that person, you know, that the boss, you see, on
the Godot
telephone.
figure, yeah.
Yeah, for that Godot figure.
Yeah.
But the Cuddleback really looked like Dickie in cul-de-sac. It was exactly him, you know. This often drunk, always drunk, the very deep-voiced laughter that changes into a cough, that changes into a spit, and then he rubs it, you know, with his foot. This, we found it, and yet it was a lovely guy.
You ain't English, eh? Continental, huh? You got an accent. You ain't British.
Well, you're not exactly Anglo-Saxon yourself.
Snotty, huh? I'm acting regular with you and you're acting snotty. I'm regular with you, ain't I?
My wife is French.
All right.
In the meantime, you smashed up my chicken house.
You tickle me pink with your chicken house. It's all rotten anyhow.
If I'd been a man, you wouldn't get away with this.
That's what you think.
You're making me sick. If you were a man, you wouldn't let this big creep insult me.
Nobody's insulting you, sweetie pie.
Your coffee's ready.
Ooh, it's getting late. Betty, by the time we all gotta get up early tomorrow morning, because I'm expecting some guests. And you better give us some real good coffee. Here, not on the terrace.
Fairies found fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won.
That would be ere the set of sun.
Where the place?
Upon the heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
What attracted you to doing Macbeth?
Well, you see, I must confess to you, I was tremendously influenced by Laurence Olivier when I was 14 or 15. I saw Hamlet 25 times. As a matter of fact, I saw it 24 times before I went to the film school. I remember exactly the number. And 25th at the film school. I just loved that film. I just loved that atmosphere. This was the cinema I was dreaming of, you know, when I felt inside and when the things were real but not completely real. There was something strange about this interior and about everything. It was slightly artificial, you see, slightly theatrical, I would say, but yet realistic, naturalistic even in certain aspects. And that made me very interested in Shakespeare. That's why I started reading. As I told you, I was already working in theater. I started seeing the Shakespeare plays, and I always thought of making a Shakespearean movie one day. Then subsequently I saw Henry V, which came later to Poland than Hamlet, and I saw other films, other adaptations of Shakespeare. And I thought the only one which was not successfully done was Macbeth, and I thought one day I'll do Macbeth. And after Rosemary's Baby, I had other projects, but they were interrupted by the death of my wife, Sharon, and I didn't work for quite a time. And then I started thinking of something else to do, you see. And everything seemed tremendously futile. And somehow I turned to Macbeth. It was something that at that time, at that moment, I thought was worthwhile undertaking. And that's how it happened.
What news, my worthy Thane?
Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by this most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began a dismal conflict, till that Bellona's bridegroom, bold Macbeth, confronts the king, rebellious arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit. And to conclude, the victory fell on us.
Great happiness. No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interests. Go, pronounce his prison's death. And with his former title, greet Macbeth.
People were surprised that you made Macbeth and Lady Macbeth so young.
I thought that it would be much more interesting having young people playing it. First of all, young man is much more ambitious and has all his future ahead of him. And a young, brave warrior can easily get tempted by reaching to the crown than somebody who is already wise and accomplished, you see. Yeah. Also, I thought that Lady Macbeth, who still have some kind of sex appeal, can have greater influence on that man.
Great glance! Worthy Cawdor! Oh, greater than both by the all-hail hereafter. Thy letter hath transported me beyond this ignorant present, and I feel now the future in the instant.
Let's move on now to Chinatown.
It's set in the past, at a time when great detective stories or pursuit and detective stories were made in America. Did you want to make a genre film? Did you want to...
Yes, I did. I tell you, I'm attracted by all existing genres of films. And I would like to have a go on every one of them. And that was my detective story. Obviously, when you think of a detective story, you think of that period, you know, and you think of writers like Chandler. I was tremendously impressed with Chandler when I was a kid. His books are translated to Polish. Mm. And I was trying to render the same atmosphere in Chinatown.
You didn't actually go flat out for period nostalgia, though. You didn't use lots of period tunes, and you didn't camp it up in any way. It's very hard stories.
No, I avoided it any way I could. First way was to do it in Panavision and color. Nobody understood why I wanted to do it in Panavision. I had great fights, and it's not the kind of film that should be done on big screen. I said, that's exactly what I want. I don't want to have any connotation. The easiest way, of course, would be to do it black and white, you see, and on the Academy ratio, and try to to recreate the same atmosphere. But then why do it at all? You can reach to any kind of archive and pull out some of the pictures made at that time without any further effort, try to re-release it. I mean, the whole idea was to do a modern film about those times.
That's a tremendously powerful sequence. Now, will you tell us what you were going for and how you shot that?
Well, you see, when I start a scene of this type, where there's action involved, I want the viewer to understand what's going on. My main worry is that people will get lost and confused in the action. I think the essential thing is to put the camera in the right place, you see? So the audience, who is limited by the size of the screen and by the fact that they're using only their eyes, only the limited part of their senses, can still understand what's going on, you see? Normally in life you turn and your head tells you that you have turned on that you're now not looking there, but you're looking here, you see? In cinema, that doesn't occur, you see? Your inner ear or whatever, mid-ear doesn't tell you that. The image changes and you have to understand that you're not seeing this now, but you're seeing that. And for that, it's absolutely essential that the camera is an observer, that the camera doesn't jump as someone who doesn't exist. You understand?
Yeah.
Because in life, when you observe a scene, even complicated action, you stand somewhere, you see someone that's coming here, then you hear the shot, you look there, you see, but you stay put here, you see. You don't happen to be suddenly here, you know, to hear the shot. And if you don't follow those rules, people are immediately confused and they don't know what's going on. Now, it's very difficult to limit yourself and to stay put on that place. You have to move the camera sometimes, but you have to calculate those movements in a way that the audience won't be confused and will understand exactly what's going on. Now, if you go back now to Chinatown, and that particular scene with those people, I found it extremely difficult to film it, because these are orchards with little rows, little streets between the trees. They all look alike, you see. And if you look at film one, it looks exactly like the other. And if there is a change happening between it, you don't know what's going on because you have nothing to identify. You don't have a street with a red building and a street with a white building, so people can create their own topography of the place, you see. So I was put with the camera, I had them coming on, and then turning left, and then I followed the car. I just tried to restrict the camera movement to the maximum, and that's all I did in that scene.
Yeah. And from his point of view?
Well, you see, the whole film is from his point of view. This is a decision you have to take when you write the script. How is the story told? Is it a first-person narration, or is it an objective narration? You see, Tess, for example, is not from Tess's point of view. If I show Tess coming in the room, it's Tess coming in the room, you see. If I show Gittes coming in the room, it's not Gittes coming in the room, it's me coming in the room, you see. I'm always behind his shoulder. I always show what he sees. I try to create impression to the audience that they are actually him, because for the action purposes it's necessary to show him, you see, or sometimes to show the scenes in which he does not participate. But you have to do it very discreetly. You have to really cheat the audience, lead them on, so they forget for the moment that he could not actually see what you're showing at that moment. But in general, it's like this, you see. If you come in the room, if the door opens, the camera is here, you see? The camera is never here, showing him coming like that, you see? Or preceding him. The camera is behind him. It's behind his shoulder, you see? Or slightly in front of him, or slightly ahead. It always follows the main character. Same way in Rosemary's Baby, but not Cul-de-sac, for example. This is about many people, and it's somebody. It's the director. It's the cameraman, I should say, observing the action. It's not one of the characters of the film who is telling you what's happening.
And similarly in Tess, where the cameraman, the director, cameraman, they're observing the action, aren't they, in Tess?
In Tess, it's objective. It's not Tess's.
What are the advantages of being objective in Tess? Why did you go for an objective view in Tess?
Because that's the way the book is written. Because there are long parts of the action which happens beyond Tess's knowledge. It's not written in the first person. You see, if you tell the story of a private detective, it could start. I walked into an office, and you see, that's not how Tess is written. You see, we first see her father. We see girls dancing in a meadow. There's one girl amongst them. We don't even know who she is. We pick her up later. It's more sort of epic way of approaching a subject than Chinatown and Rosemary's Baby.
Have you a soul to trying to escape?
It's bread, that's all. No, it is when you sneeze, you're like to blow your soul away.
But as I see it, no soul can leave its mortal shell afore a body dies. What if a man falls down in a faint, Master Crick? Well, that's a different matter. The spirit bides there inside you, but you cannot feel it.
We can sometimes make our souls leave our bodies.
How's that then, lady?
Only have to lie in the grass at night and look straight up at some bright star. And stare at it with all your might. And by and by you feel you're falling into the sky. Miles and miles from your body, which you don't seem to need at all.
I wondered if you thought that in films you could get over the same sort of ideas that people can in books. Do you think you can get over the same sort of ideas as Hardy gets over, or do you think that films deal in a different sort of idea?
I don't think that film can.
Yeah.
I don't think that film, unless if you had endless voice-over explaining certain things to the people. After all, you're limited to express certain idea simply through your character's behavior. And that, of course, limits you in many ways. You see, you're dealing with images here. You have to translate what can be said in the book to the images. For that reason, I think that only some of the great masterpieces of literature can be really turned into films. I don't think that Faulkner can be successfully filmed. There are many attempts, and they always fail, they always missed. Why? Because it's all within words. You see, it's not important what's happening, but how it's told. It's the way the writer tells you his story. It's his word, it's his narrative, his speech, which you hear in your head, which gives you the whole pleasure of reading it. You have to get rid of it if you want to make a film. You have to replace it with images. Now, with Hardy, there are, of course, great passages of this sort, and they cannot be captured by a camera. You know, what's the most valuable for me is the story, is the emotion that transpires, the characters. When you think of Tess, you think of a living person. You don't have any doubt in your mind that the real Tess didn't exist.
Brush in hand, sir.
Yes, I know. Come. Now, let's be clear about this. There's no anger in our hearts. Even though something has happened between us which I cannot endure at present, I shall let you know where I go, and if I think I can bear it, if I'm capable of it, I shall come to fetch you.
I shall wait.
Until then, you'd do better not to try and join me.
Until then, I must not join you.
Just so.
May I write to you?
Oh, yes. If you're ill or in need of anything.
Tess will be opening in Britain this summer. Chinatown can be seen on ITV soon. Next week, Tom Wolfe from New York and Jonathan Pryce's Hamlet from the Royal Court. Good night.